Hi everyone, welcome back to another For Those Who Code video. This channel is where we discuss and learn new skills around the topic of design and development. If you want to grow your skills and learn new things that's coming up, please like, share, and please do subscribe for more. In this video, we'll be diving into the new released feature in Tailwind version 3.0. We will right away implement the super cool features that this new version provides us with. If you are interested, you can still see the feature release in the official Tailwind documentation, here also attached in the description down below. But we will go through step by step on implementing the features from the new release. So let's get started. The first update in Tailwind version 3 has the stable release of just-in-time compiler, commonly known as JIT. This new engine has gone stable and replaced the classical engine. The best thing is that we only have to deal with the demanded styles and we don't need to purge our CSS to get the minified builds. This handles out of the box. Isn't this awesome? Let's see this in action. Well, I have already created a simple demo project for our Tailwind, and I've generally created it with this Tailwind CLI. You can basically go through all the documentation step and you can build that one. And meanwhile, if you guys was wondering about how we can rename our class names, you can also take a reference to Flowbyte Tailwind chipset. So this is basically a Nordcave's original chipset, and they have made it awesome, and this is also great. So currently our application is totally simple. We just want to experiment with the version 3 release of Tailwind, and we don't have nothing much. And right here inside of our code, let's go ahead and experiment with the JIT. To experiment with JIT, let's go ahead and add some classes to our images and make it round. So we can do it by rounded full class name. So let's go ahead and save it. And as you can see here, my JIT compiler is running. It's compiled in 13 milliseconds, which is great. And if we go ahead and check our here, we can see that rounded full class has been compiled and it's inside of output.css. Also, our image is rounded and looks pretty awesome. So now let's go ahead and add some furthermore classes to this. The JIT output files is lightning fast, so we can also write some stackable variants and arbitrary properties and more to our JIT compiler to compile. So let's go ahead and add some fonts here. So for our fonts, we will go ahead and add font to our H2, let's say. So let's go ahead and add H2 and 800. So we can delete this or we can delete our font bold so that it doesn't clashes. Let's go ahead and save it. And as you can see here, font bold 800 has been added right here. So it's great. So it's super fast. Let's go ahead and add some arbitrary properties to this. So let's remove text XL and let's add font size of 18 pixels. Let's go ahead and save it. It's compiled and it reflected the change. So this is really great. So this is one of the first feature release of Tailwind. Second major update in Tailwind version 3, the fancy underline styles, which allows us to change the color of style, thickness, and offset of the underlines. Let's discuss each of them. First one is text decoration color. Well, this utility is used to control the color of text decorations. We can use decoration-color utility to change the color of an element text decoration. As you can see here in the markup, I have added some classes here like decoration green 500 and decoration blue 400 and decoration indigo 300. If we take a look at the browser, and we can see that our underline has been implemented with the respective colors to our words right here. So now let's discuss about the next utility, which is text decoration style. Text decoration style. This utility is used to control the style of text decorations. You can use the decoration-style utility to change the style of the element's text decoration. Here in the markup, I have added the classes for text decoration style. And I've added decoration solid, decoration doubled, and decoration wavy to our underline. And as you can see here inside of our browser, it has been reflected with the double line, underline, and wavy underline. So now let's move into another utility, which is text decoration thickness. This utility is used to control the thickness of the text decorations. You can use decoration hyphen width utility to change the thickness of an element text decoration. Here in the markup I have added additional class which is decoration 1, decoration 2, and decoration 4. And as per the decoration added, we can see that our writing, speaking, and courses has a different thickness to the underlines. So now let's discuss about the text underline offset. This utility is used to control the offset of text underlines. You can use the decoration hyphen offset hyphen width utility to change the offset of an element's text underline. Here in the markup I have added the class for text underline offset and underline offset 1, underline offset 3, and underline offset 4. And as you can see here in the browser, it reflected a little bit of gap in the top with an offset. So now let's discuss about the next feature. The next feature is colored box shadow, which is a colored box shadow that allows adding glow, reflection effects, and more natural shadows on the colored background. Let's take a look at this. So I've added a utility which is shadow indigo 500/50, which is an opacity of this particular color, which is 50, and for this also 50 and also 50. And the background is indigo 500 and background red 500 and background blue 500. So if we take a look at the browser, and we can see that our colored box shadow has been implemented to our buttons. So now let's talk about the next feature, which is arbitrary properties. Arbitrary properties feature allows us to add customized CSS, which we can combine with modifiers like hover, LG, and many more. For instance, if we want to use CSS properties that Tailwind doesn't provide as a utility out of the box, then we can make the use of square bracket notation to write completely arbitrary CSS. As you can see here in the markup, I've added some arbitrary CSS, which is font size of 24 pixel, which is not provided by Tailwind, and a line height, and also this custom color, which can be added with these array syntax kind of big brackets. If we take a look at our browser here, we can see this has been successfully implemented and added style to our paragraph right here. So now let's take a look at another feature, which is multi-column layout. The multi-column layout allows us to control the number of columns within an element. We can use the columns hyphen count utility to define the number of columns required for the content inside an element. The column width will be automatically transformed to match that number. Here in the markup, I have added some utilities for multi-column layout, and I've added column 1 in small screens SM column 3 and a gap of 8. If you take a look at the browser, and we can see that the column of 3 has been implemented with a gap of 8, which is also an awesome feature. So now let's move ahead to the next awesome feature, which is print modifier. The print modifier allows us to control how our web page should look when someone prints it. We can use the print modifier to conditionally apply the styles that only apply when the page is being printed. In the markup here, I've added some utility class for the print, which is print hidden, in case we don't want to see this h1 when we are printing this particular page, and also print block, which sets this element to a block when we print the page. So if we take a look at it in the browser, we can see that this page is to print. If we hit Command and P in Mac and see it here, let's print this page. So as you can see here, we don't have let's print this page here, but we can see that particular stuff when we print this page. So this is pretty much a neat feature that we can implement when we need anything to print. So now let's move ahead to another feature, which is Modern Aspect Ratio API. The Modern Aspect Ratio API allows to control the aspect ratio of an element. We can use the aspect aspect-ratio utility to set our preference of aspect ratio for an element. This API uses the native aspect ratio CSS property, but by default, Tailwind doesn't include a large set of aspect ratio values, since we can use the arbitrary property to define our own aspect ratio. Here in the markup, I've added the modern aspect ratio API CSS utility class. And you can see here, I have added aspect video and width is full. If we take a look at it in the browser, and we can see the full width video of our channel right here. So we can further change this to other values. For example, some arbitrary values like 4:2, which sets up the aspect ratio automatically. And as you can see, our arbitrary values has been implemented. And if we remove the width full and change this aspect ratio to 4:2 using some arbitrary values, if we hit save and take a look at the browser, our aspect ratio and the video size has been maintained. So this is a pretty much neat feature that we can use. Let's discuss about another feature, which is native form control styling. The native form control styling allows us to make the checkboxes, radio buttons, and file inputs match without reinventing the wheel. The support for brand new accent color property and the modifier for styling file input buttons has been added with this release. Now we can use accent-color utility to change the accent color of an element. This is really useful to style the element like checkboxes, radio groups by overriding the default color provided by the web browsers. As you can see here in the markup, I have added some utility colors for native form control styling, and I have added accent indigo 500 for our checkbox and accent green 400 for our radio buttons. And if you take a look at the checkbox and the radio buttons, you can see that our native styling has been overridden by our custom styling, which is great. So now let's discuss about another feature, which is left and right modifiers. The Tailwind team has added an experimental support for multi-directional layout with new RTL and LTR modifiers. In the case where we need to change the website layout from reading from left to right to left, vice versa. Here in the markup, we have added dir LTR kind of attribute to our HTML element right here, and we also added LTR and margin left of 3, and if it's RTL, margin right of 3. If you hit save and take a look at the browser, and we can see that we are reading from left to right now. And if we change this to RTL, and we can see that it successfully changed from left to right to left. So this is how we can implement this experimental feature that has been added by Tailwind team. So now let's take a look at another feature of portrait and landscape modifiers. The new portrait and landscape modifiers allows us to conditionally add styles when the viewport is in specific orientation. Let's take a look at it in the markup right here. I've added some utility classes for portrait hidden and landscape hidden. So this particular div doesn't show up when it's in portrait, and this doesn't show up in landscape. So currently we are looking at the portrait. So in this case, currently we are looking at the landscape rotation. So if we take a look at the browser, and we can see here we are looking at the landscape rotation. If we rotate it, then we can see here we are currently looking at the portrait rotation. So this is pretty much handy stuff that we can use with the new version of Tailwind. Now lastly, let's discuss about another feature, which is Tailwind CDN. Tailwind CDN, or in other words Play CDN, allows us to include Tailwind CSS in our project without downloading the complete package via NPM or Yarn. This is not a CSS based CDN, instead it is script based CDN. We can add it inside of our head of our HTML file and start using Tailwind utility classes to style our contents. So inside of a markup here, we will comment out the output.css, which has been generated with the help of this Tailwind CLI stuff. So now we also don't need any terminal that need to spin up. If we save it and take a look at it in the browser, it's fully working fine. So the Play CDN is not really meant to use in the production environment, but to serve it as a fast way of getting started with the framework with zero configuration. Tailwind CDN is really helpful. So these are pretty much the features that has been introduced by Tailwind version 3.0. So guys, in this video we learned about the major updates that were introduced in Tailwind version 3.0. If you guys want to learn more around the topics of design and development, please like, share, and please do subscribe by clicking the button down below. Thanks a lot guys. See you in the next one.